Today is the day where I ask you a bunch of questions because it is Trivia Day right here on the Blitz Morning Show. First trivia question. Who was the first player in NHL history to score 100 points in a single season when he scored 126? Find out next. Everybody, welcome to the Blitz Morning Show. My name is Toby Brendel, and I am your host for the next upwards of a half an hour. Yeah, I said a half an hour because I'm not really too sure how long the show is going to last. Half an hour, you'll love me for it. Believe me. The stuff that I talk about will only make you go, All right before the intro, I gave you the very first trivia question. Hang on. All right, anyway. The question was, who was the first NHL player to score 100 points in a single season? Just remember, there's been a lot of 100 points ever since this date. But the answer is Phil Esposito. Woo, bet you never knew that. I do have two more questions that I'm going to be asking you and answering in today's show. Have a bunch of topics, some of them good, some of them bad, some of them are, oh my god, and WTF. What the Wednesday? I know. Some of the letters aren't actually going with the abbreviations of what they should, but whatever. So alright, over the last week I bought myself an Xbox One and, a bunch of games. Thought, hey, this is kind of cool. Enjoying it. The one part that kind of blew me away when I was on the internet doing kind of prep work for the show, for Monday show. Okay, I took a break from editing, alright? Don't rub it in. I seen something that kind of got me baffled. Google may be in works to create a video game system to compete with Nintendo, Xbox, as well as PlayStation. Okay, if you're as old as me, who was born in the 90s and seen video games come and go, this isn't really that new, but with the day and age of today, it is kind of newsworthy because of the lack of competition that systems have today. Like, you have the three majors: Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. That's it. Where, all said and done, everything is fine. But back in the 90s, it was one of those things where you heard a company trying to come out with something. You're like, yeah, all right, whatever. You never thought twice about it. You wanted to get your magazines, watch TV shows to learn about these machines, what they're capable of doing, as well as even going down to your local gaming shop, electronics store, see if they have it up for a demonstration to play to see if you like it. Like, back in the day, you had companies like Panasonic come out, Sega, Atari, then you had PlayStation, Nintendo. Trust me, there is hell of a lot more. Hell, I think Sega had 2 systems within a decade. 3 within a decade. You had the Genesis at the start, the Saturn and Dreamcast, and of course all of them got dumped. But then in between there, you had Sega trying to come out with the Sega 32X, Sega CD. Nintendo had Super Nintendo. There's just a lot of things that were happening back in the 90s that never shocked you. But now, you have your major competitors facing off with each other. It's like having a Ford and a Chev doing drag races, trying to be number one, and all of a sudden you have a little, say, Korea car coming up in the background. Is he going to compete? Is he going to sure the hell try? Is he going to win? Probably not, but he could be in the top 3. I don't know if this is going to work. Google might actually been throwing a bunch of money into a project that could fail. There is another game system out there that is going to be released, I do believe, that is supposed to have almost more frames per second for gameplay than what the PlayStation and PS4 has. Wait, no, PS4 and the Xbox have. And they're actually saying this machine could be one of those machines that actually hurt other Xbox and PlayStation. Only time's going to find out to actually see if it's true. Here's an interesting topic that if you're ever into outer space, planets, suns, the unknown, where humans only have dabbled into actual human footprints. No, not footprints. Dabbled into just a toe within an ocean of the whole universe. This might actually be interesting. But at the same time, it could be something totally different. Because my question is, why is it coming out now and not within, say, the last 10 years when we had technology to actually pick stuff like this up? But they're actually saying that there's water molecules that have been detected on the moon. My question is, why is it now in 2019 that it's being detected? And what about all those other times where we basically never detected it when we're looking at it? Was it roughly in the same spot where the astronauts landed? I don't really know. I would sure love to get where this information is coming from, and I would love to ask a bunch of questions, for example, like that. We have found more evidence that there's been water or is water on Mars than our frickin' moon. That's got to be one of the most craziest parts about everything. Before we mosey on into the next segment, I'm going to ask you another trivia question. This one's going to make you work a little bit harder. All right? Because it's a little bit longer and it takes a little bit more thinking. But I'm just warning you now, it's another hockey trivia question. All right? Okay, next question. Dallas Stars, Detroit Red Wings, the Montreal Canadiens, the New Jersey Devils, Anaheim Mighty Ducks. Their team names. Franchise names, not city name. Ends with an S. So basically, teams that ends with an S. Vancouver Canucks, Edmonton Oilers, Calgary Flames, Winnipeg Jets. S. There are 30 teams in the NHL in 2000-2001. How many of those teams were those teams that did not end in the letter S? Ooh. You'll find out next, right after the break. My name is Toby Brendel, and you are listening to the Blitz Morning Show. I'll see you in a bit. And we are back with the Blitz Morning Show. My name is Toby Brendel. Thank you for staying with us. All right, before we went to break, I asked you a question. It is Dallas Stars, Detroit Red Wings, Montreal Canadiens, New Jersey Devils, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, their team name, their franchise names, not the city name, ends with an S, right? There were 30 teams in the 2000-2001 season. How many of those teams ended their team name? Wait a second. How many teams were those team names that did not end with the letter S? Dun, da, da, da! 3. The Chicago Avalanche, the Minnesota Wild, and the Tampa Bay Lightning were the only teams in the NHL at that time where they did not have the letter S on their team name. Ooh, bet you didn't know that. All right. Here's something I don't understand. Stupidity at its finest, as well as putting the blame on somebody else. A lady gets attacked by a jaguar because she wanted to get a selfie. All right, so what it is a lady, she wanted to get a selfie with a jaguar, which I just said. So she went past a barrier to go get it, and as she was standing there to go get the selfie, the jaguar reached out and took a swipe at her, and she had injuries. Here is the interesting thing. In her quote that she had, where it just kind of makes me close my eyes and think on how stupid people are. As a great Tom McDonald quote says, if a plane crashes, you would probably blame the road conditions. And this is basically the perfect example of what he meant by that particular term. Quote, I was wrong for leaning over the barrier to take a selfie at the zoo, but the zoo should move the barrier back. Oh, the road conditions just took that plane out of the sky. How can you blame a zoo when it was your fault? There's so many people out there this time that are actually saying, excuse me, that the lady was 100% at fault and that the jaguar should not be put down because of his or her actions. I totally agree. If you're dumb enough to take a selfie with a jaguar and be that close, you're an idiot. Heck, when a cat is pissed off, I know for a fact you stay away from it because those claws are freaking sharp and they can pierce a lot of stuff. Hell, a cat can climb a dried wall to get away from the predators if it really had to. That's how sharp those claws are. You see chunks of fur flying when those little kitty cats, like household cats, get into fights. Now just imagine a freaking jaguar. It just baffles me why people would actually go and do something retarded like that. To me, seriously guys, it does not make sense. The past week, it's been kind of a sad day on the forefront when it comes to a bunch of celebrities. You had so many deaths of famous and semi-famous people. Like, for example, George Foreman's daughter died, who is like 42 years old. There was a lady right here in Saskatchewan who was a person who wanted to fight for women's rights on body size and basically says it doesn't matter what you look like, which I totally agree. She died at the age of 30, as well as an Olympic cyclist who passed away at 23. Here is a real kicker in the nuts. Babe Ruth's daughter died at 102 years old. My God, there's some of us that aren't even going to live to be half of that. And she lived to be 102. Whew. Very, very interesting. 102 years old. My lordy, lord. In the news in New York City, the port in New York actually made a very huge drug bust. One of the biggest in years. There was $77 million of coke that was seized at the New York City port. It's one of the largest in recent years. But $77 million. God damn. How crazy is that? That 77 million. I can't even imagine that much money. Our lotto here in Canada doesn't even get to be as big as 77 million. I think the biggest, it's either 60 or 65 mil. And that's big enough. Crazy times. But, yeah. There's other places like, say, down in Miami or along the Florida Panhandle. Is that what a panhandle is? I don't know. Along Florida's coast where cocaine was washing up. I know that there was a huge drug bust years ago. And the street value was quite a bit for just a little bit of stuff that they did find. Alright. I know this segment's a little bit short, but I'm going to give you a heads up. I'm going to give you the trivia, come back, give you the answer, and talk about the one last topic that I have planned for today, and also mention about a little bit of a bill that was declined in the city that I'm from, which has stirred up a lot of controversy. All right. So first of all, the question, who was the very first player to wear the number 99? Find out next, right here on the Blitz Morning Show. My name is Toby Brendel, and I will see you soon. Da-da-da! We are back. Thank you. This is the Blitz Morning Show. My name is Toby Brindle, and let's finally get the show going to get it stopped. I know. That was short. That's kind of like a little bit of a tease, a little bit of a tip. All right. I haven't watched The Simpsons in years, and anytime I do, it's like one or two, then I more or less stop. But anybody who is a hardcore fan will have noticed this, but me personally, I haven't. But there was a poll that was done for the most unpopular part of The Simpsons. Do you know what the answer was? This isn't a trivia, it's actually a question. Okay, I lied. It is a trivia, but it's not part of the actual segment. This is something totally different. And the answer was dumbing down Lisa. I don't know if this is true or not. Like, basically what I said, I haven't seen The Simpsons in years, so I really don't know how well or what's going on with it. All I know is they've been renewed for 2 more years, and possibly the final 2 more years of The Simpsons' life. Lisa, of course, she was one of the smartasses who basically knew everybody. Apparently, she got dumber as time went on. Only you guys can tell me. Hit me up on Twitter or Facebook at the Blitz Morning Show. Wait, no. At the Blitz Morning. Tell me, is this actually true? Because me personally, I don't know. Oh, shoot. I forgot. The answer for the trivia question. Who was the first person to wear the number 99? The answer was Joe Lamb. Joe Lamb wore it with the Montreal Maroons in 1934-1935. Okay, that is it for the show. But there's a topic that I want you guys to think about. All right. Monday was my city's city council meeting. There was a topic on the agenda which was going to put special care home for special care needs, disabilities, in a certain part of our city. And it was really interesting with the outcome. Oops. Because, all right, a little bit of history. There used to be an old mental hospital on the west side of the city, and it had to be torn down due to the fact it was old, it wasn't upkept, it was actually falling apart, and it was so far behind building codes that nobody wanted to fix it up and spend the money it would have actually cost to do that. All right, I totally understand. When you have something like over a certain amount of $1 million to bring a company up to code, or a building up to code, people are going to find cheaper ways of doing it. So anyway, the city bulldozed it. History gone, memories remain. There's another company that decided, well, what if we put a city suburb in it? Which is absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. At least the land's being used. Repurpose it, rebuild it, make it more beautiful. Totally legit. Well, there was a proposal Monday that came abroad, and the city council shut it down due to the people at this area that said they didn't want this so-called proposal to be passed because it was going to lower their property value of their house, the land, everything like that. What this proposal was to put the special care home out in this part of the city. So they put it up. They said, this is what we want to do. We want to have it this big, like this. Next, the city council, they basically said, no, it can't go there. Right? Huge controversy right now. And there's a lot of backlash. So much backlash. It was actually on CTV Regina News. The mayor's under heat. City council's under heat. One of the city councilmen actually posted on his Facebook page saying that he wants to sit down, talk with the special care home, the housing authority, as well as the people in the area to see exactly what they can do to possibly make this thing come true and help build it. Well, it's so weird that we're taught as people, if you don't believe in something, stand up and fight for it. But sometimes when you do, you're going to get huge amounts of backlash. Hence this, right? Sometimes you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, and you don't know which way to go or how to do it. That also takes me to another topic that I've always preached, and many people, they don't understand the meaning behind it, but it is so true, and here is the absolute point. People nowadays, they're so money hungry that everything has to be better. If you have a building, it has to look better than the next one. If you have a vehicle come in, park at your neighbor's house, you want to be better than that neighbor. So, of course, you go get a loan, get another vehicle to make it look better than that one. Person adds something to their house, you got to do something bigger. It's one of those ladders. One person has to get one step above each other to look bigger, to better, to show power and authority. Where the greed itself is just hurting so many people. I know some of you are going to be like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. You know, maybe I don't, but it's my opinion, and that's how I feel. But this basically proves it. You have these people out there that have signed a petition saying that they don't want the special care home because their $700,000 house is going to decrease in value to, say, $600,000. What these people don't understand, if your house, say, decreases in value, you can still get the value out of your house if you post how much money you want for it. People are willing to pay if they want it that bad. One of my old schoolmates says there's a price on anything. You name it, you want it, you pay it, you got it. Well, that is going to be it for today, right here on the Blitz Morning Show. My name is Toby Brendel, and I thank you guys for tuning in for the last roughly half an hour. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at theblitzmorningshow@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, as well as Facebook at The Blitz Morning. We are currently upgrading our website, so it's going to be a lot easier to navigate, as well as it's going to look a lot better on your eyes. So expect that with the next 2 weeks. To me, it looks absolutely beautiful. You're not going to have any disagreements or arguments. You're going to be sending me messages saying this is absolutely beautiful. Well, in the meantime, guys, thanks for tuning in to this beautiful, wonderful show. And I will catch you in a few days for the weekly wind-up. You can find the weekly wind-up right here on the Blitz Morning Show. And I will catch you later.